Welcome to the Fire Away Podcast. The podcast that is the Fire Away Podcast. Oh yeah. Here we go. Let's do it.
Well, welcome back to another edition of Fire Away Podcast, where we are here ready to fire away with anything and everything.
What's up, Fred?
What's going on there, Mr. Mark? How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy.
All right,
good to be
man.
back.
Good to be back on the mic. It's been a while. I feel like it's been forever since we've been in here doing some recording.
Yeah, well, especially when it's just been you and I, so it's been great. And, again, like he said, welcome back. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Fire_Away Podcast. And then make sure you click that plus sign up in the right-hand corner of Apple Podcasts to make sure you subscribe to the show to give it a reminder every time we put out a new episode. So, thank you for joining us. And we are coming to the holidays, Fred.
Yes, we are. Right around the corner. We've got it, a few days away, it seems like.
It feels like it outside, that's for sure.
It does. I saw some snow. I was leaving my house and had a little snow.
A little bit of flurries this morning.
Yeah. Don't forget, we're going to give a shout out to Kelly over here on the controls again, right?
Always doing a good job. Doesn't want to be on camera. Doesn't want to be on mic. Just wants to be in the background, twisting the buttons.
That's right. But yeah, so the holiday season is upon us. We just finished up, a few weeks ago, our holiday party. Which you missed. You were on vacation. Mm-hmm. That was a great time, a great event. Fireline, Tori, shout out to Tori for all the hard work she put in to make sure that thing rolled. And I tell you what, buddy, it did not disappoint.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. It looked like it was a really good time. Everybody dressed to impress. Everybody looked great. Fireline Jack was in attendance, so shout out to Fireline Jack.
Yeah, I got to do a funky walk with Fireline Jack.
Funky walk.
Yeah. But no, that was a great time. It was a lot of fun. Kicked everything off in the holiday spirit and got everybody rolling, man. We definitely missed you out there, though.
I definitely missed it, but part of me was like, vacation was a little nicer. It would have been fun to be at the holiday party, but it was also fun to be on a cruise ship. So
being pampered.
Yeah, being pampered, if you can. You know what I mean? Chasing a 4-year-old around a ship for the most part is really what it was.
How was the cruise, though?
Cruising was nice. It was super hot. I guess it's what you go to the Caribbean for, hot weather and beaches.
Amen.
I look forward to cold weather. I'm a cold weather guy. So when this weather breaks and it turns cold, I get happy. So when I leave happy to go to hot again, it's a little bit bittersweet. Like, it's nice to be on vacation, but I don't like sweat.
You're a cold weather guy.
Oh, man.
We can't be friends.
No,
I'm a warm weather guy. Give me the heat, baby. Give me the heat.
By the third day of vacation, I was so over putting sunblock on. Like, I just get me back to Maryland where it's in the 50s.
I don't wear it. I'm going to die of sun.
I also have a head of hair. I got a shiny dome up here. I got to keep it covered up.
Yeah.
So we try our best to include everybody, but we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas because we celebrate Christmas, and I understand that there could be some people listening that don't. But we're going to talk about Christmas, and Christmas is coming, and some traditions that maybe we had growing up. Before we started recording, we started to talk a little bit about how that's changed, right, from when we grew up to maybe what we do with our children now, and then maybe what we pass on to the grandchildren and things like that. So, I guess it's a nostalgic time of year anyway. You can't help but think about the past when it gets to be, as soon as you start hanging those Christmas lights up and those Christmas trees, it always brings back some kind of memories.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I look forward to hearing some, different traditions that are out there. So besides what,
there's quite a few. I know me personally. I grew up with the old classic Rudolphs and Frosty the Snowmans and all that. And I've noticed that over the years. So I've got 18, 16, and 11.
Okay.
So the 18-year-old would, when he was younger, the classes that came on, he was interested. He'd watch them. Wasn't super into it like we were as kids, or I was as a kid. I'm up there in age now. I noticed, as Liam came along, 16, even just a couple years behind, the older stuff wasn't quite his cup of tea, but he'd sit and watch and get excited. Right. My daughter's 11. She wants no parts of the old.
Is it the quality or is it just the storyline?
I don't know what it is. I don't like the Home Alones and the stuff like that. She's all into. She's all over it, right? But which I get. But that old classic car, because it's a cartoon. It was a claymation, right? Wants no parts of it. Does not care one bit.
If I'm being honest, it's hard for me to get into it. And I'm nowhere near as young as you are. But when I watch that, the claymation Rudolph and the old Frosty, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so old. And part of it's like, I get it's supposed to be. Yeah. It's a classic. And then part of me, I guess maybe we're just spoiled with the quality of stuff that's out now. The new Grinch, I would say it's not new, it's years old now, but the cartoon version of the Grinch, my daughter loves it. She's 4. I can watch that 100 times, and we have watched it 100 times. But when that claymation Rudolph come on, and I can still picture that's the Frosty one. I can close my eyes and picture the snowman, the abominable snowman coming through, and it's just that's for. I mean, that's South
Rudolph.
Park, it's South Park quality. Is that what it is? The Rudolph.
Yeah,
one,
Rudolph. Right? Yeah, Yukon Cornelius going after the abominable snowman. But what the cool stuff is, right? So I mean, and it's funny. It's kind of wild to watch how things have changed over the years. Just in what's we'll get into a topic about this another day, but what's acceptable and not acceptable, and what they did back then versus what they do now. Yeah, well, I mean, you got Yukon Cornelius running around with a gun,
right,
strapped to his waist, around the land and listen his toy, ready to blast the character. But hey,
I let my daughter start watching some Looney Tunes from back in the day, and then you got the Looney Tunes.
Okay, yeah.
And then you have the Roadrunner and Coyote, and he's constantly trying to kill the Roadrunner. And I'm like, man, you couldn't get away with stuff nowadays. Yeah, no. Yosemite Sam with his double barrels, And nowadays, man, you put a gun on a cartoon, you're canceled.
You're done.
Yeah, it's definitely a different world.
So what is what is your all time favorite classic or even current Christmas show?
That's Christmas show
movies.
Oh, Elf
production.
Elf.
Yeah,
I go Elf. Home Alone's a good one. I will watch, but Home Alone for some reason to me it's not as accessible as Elf. Like Elf, I feel like they're showing more often. Big Will Ferrell fan. He just makes me laugh, and it's so dumb.
It is, but he's great.
He's hilarious. So yeah, I think I would have to go to Elf. Elf, and then the cartoon Grinch because it's my daughter's new favorite movie. The Jim Carrey Grinch show, way better. I will say that. That is a great Grinch movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely good. There's a lot of good ones. There's not many bad ones that are out there. I mean, that from the holiday. Yeah. Now, would you say John McClane, Die Hard, is that a Christmas movie?
I gotta be
it's a big debate.
Here's what I've never seen it.
Really?
I've never seen it. I've seen bits and pieces of all the Die Hards, but I have never sat and watched a Die Hard from start to finish. I don't know why. I have no clue. It's right up my alley.
You're not a Die Hard for sure.
Right. It's definitely the kind of movie I would watch. I don't know why. I like Bruce Willis, but I've never seen a Die Hard from start to finish, and I don't think I can speak on whether or not it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate out there whether or not, just because it's like in the Christmas time, just like the Mel Gibson, Danny Glover.
Is that Lethal Weapon?
Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
I mean, it's done at Christmas time too. Some people would call that a Christmas movie.
Man, just think, so as you're saying, there's so many other movies out there now that were Christmas time movies that are coming to mind that are really good. Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn.
That's a good one.
I like Vince Vaughn, man.
I like Vaughn, and I like John Favreau too.
When them two pair up, from Maid and
good.
Swingers back in the day.
Yeah, they're good.
Classic movies. Yeah, so I did, but I would have to pick that. I would have to say right now, Elf, and if later on the days something's going to pop into my mind that I'm going to say I like much better. But for right now, that's the first thing that pops to my mind is Elf. What about you?
It's a good one. I go right back to old school Rudolph, man. That's what fills my heart up. I remember as a little kid sitting there because I mean, when I'm young enough or old enough that I can remember where you had, just a few channels. I mean,
right.
There wasn't, there was cable, but couldn't afford no cable, and you had antennas, and and you kind of around the clock waiting for that to come on. Nighttime, 8:00, you're all dressed up. You got the Christmas tree behind you. Yep. You're in your pajamas, man, and you're watching Rudolph.
I think that might be it. I think you might have nailed it. It is the accessibility part. I said that about the Home Alone. I think when you were growing up, that's what you had access to, right? You look forward to it. You knew it was coming out. They probably put it in the paper. Rudolph's going to be a TV guide, right? It's going to be at 8:00. So you'll be in front of your TV. And I think it was probably fairly similar for me growing up. I do remember being in front of the TV and watching Rudolph and things like that. But I just think now at this age, it's just, we have this wealth of accessibility. Anything you want to watch, you can just turn around and watch. What is the classic that my wife, I hate the one with Ralphie. What is it called?
Christmas Story.
I hate that movie. And there's the one that they played before that. That's from like 1950. The gentleman just died. The main actor in it. I am terrible right now with what I'm trying to think of.
Before Christmas Story?
Yeah, every time they play the Christmas Story on a loop, there's another Christmas movie that they play, and they sing and dance on the rooftops.
A Wonderful Life?
Maybe that's what it is. A Wonderful Life. What's that guy's name? The actor. Anyway, he just passed away. Rest in peace. But they play. I can't get into it. I just watched that for the first time last year.
Every time a bell rings, and then he gets his wing. That one there.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life. Yes.
Yeah, his name escaped me now too.
I just watched that last Christmas. We were in West Virginia at my in-laws' house, and it was on, and there's not much to watch up there. We're limited on channels, and I had to watch it, and it was so hard to get through for me. I just couldn't get into it.
It's a tough one for me too, for sure. It's definitely it's good. I mean, it's a classic, but going back to the Rudolph though, being a kid, that's the whole idea wasn't necessarily. I think the reason why it's my favorite, and it still kind of gets me to this day, is because not necessarily so much of the content and actually how it would put together, but just the excitement involved around it. I mean, at that kid, as an age, and we kind of just what that brought, and that was the excitement of Christmas coming.
You knew you were ramping up, right?
You knew you're getting there. You knew you're getting there. So, I mean, I think that's what makes it my favorite, just from the feels that I get from it.
So, all right. So then, what about tradition-wise? What is as a kid, like, what was your favorite thing that you did with your parents or siblings?
So, the favorite thing, my favorite thing is you have your stockings and you have your presents under the tree. Our tradition was the stockings were not opened until Christmas evening. So we wake up in the morning. You come downstairs. Well, we actually had a single family home. We come out of our room. You could get out past the hallway. There's a blanket put up in the hallway so you couldn't see. You had to make sure the parents were up first. I had to go wake mom and dad up, my younger brother and I. And it'd be so exciting. One year, we had to share a room. We had a small house in New Mexico. I had to share a room, him and I. And I'm 5 years older than him. So I'm probably, 10, 11 maybe. And but still super excited, love Santa Claus. And we're up with that morning. And my mom and my dad always had a tendency of, the oohs and the oh my God, look what Santa, oh my God, holy moly. And he's getting excited. Sean just freaking out. I'm getting excited. And out of nowhere, I latch onto him and throw the laugh in the closet. Just out of pure excitement. He's screaming, ah! So, I got to get in trouble a little bit. You can't throw your brother in the closet. I can't. I'm excited.
Right.
But anyway, so, we come out Christmas Day. Santa brought so much stuff, and you got presents, and we're spending the day doing our whole morning opening presents, and man, it's a glorious time. Fantastic. Everybody knows that feeling. But the cool thing was you get through that day because it goes so quick, right? I mean, you go through them presents like freaking
you wait
0
all
to
that
60 and 2.7
an hour
seconds.
later you're sitting around
done. Right now you're playing with what you had, and then from that day, then we go to my grandparents' house and start doing the visiting and all that stuff. But the cool thing was we'd always save the stockings for later, and my mom was always really cool about putting cool stuff in the stocking, little knickknacks, little gadgets, little things you need, along with some deodorant, things like that. I just started getting older, right? And I do the same thing now with my kids and my wife. I love the stocking. Her stocking is always the number one thing.
So, is it still that you can't touch it till Christmas night?
You can't touch it till Christmas night. Okay. So everything's settled in. You're back from where you've been running. Everybody kind of tired and chilled out. And as a kid, you kind of forget about it. And then it's like you're starting to settle down, and it goes, oh yeah,
I got more.
We got stockings. So as that last little hurrah of the day to extend Christmas Day out just to the very end and have one of the last little excitement of things of open things up. So my favorite tradition that I've carried on with my kids, my wife wasn't this way, but she loves it now. We do this is stockings wait until that evening, and then we finish the evening off with that.
Okay. I might have to steal that for
it. Just extends it, man.
Yeah.
And it's something to look forward to.
So we were a little bit opposite, where we did our stockings Christmas Eve night.
Okay.
So now I'm just jumping to me.
Hey, that's mine.
So we would, my favorite tradition though, so we would go to my aunt and uncle's parents' house for Christmas Eve dinner. we would go to their parents' house. It was right up the block, right? We walked to it. It
Okay.
was literally at the top of the block. And we'd go there every Christmas Eve. And at some point, one of my parents would sneak back down to our house and put pajamas under the Christmas tree. So when we came back late that night, Christmas Eve night, from the dinner that we were at, it would turn into a party for the adults. With all the kids. I remember playing in the basement with the other kids. When we would get back to our house, there would be pajamas under the tree from Santa. And it was just, I still remember, and I think my sister might still do that for my niece and nephew. I don't do that, but it's my favorite memory. And I remember even as I got older, still being like, how are these under here? Because we were all up here at the house, and now all of a sudden so it was just really cool. We looked forward to it every year, but we would put our pajamas on, and maybe we were able to get one. Now that I'm thinking, it's a little more clear, one present out of the stocking Christmas Eve night.
Okay.
I think we got. So it was like our pajamas, and we could get one present, and I could be misremembering a little bit. The pajamas for me for sure.
All right.
And really, right now, I didn't pass anything down for my daughter. I think the newer thing that we do tradition-wise for us is the Elf on the Shelf, which I know a lot of people do.
Yeah, I still do it. My kids, I still do it.
Right now, what's becoming, I can tell you it's a new tradition. I think it's 3 years. This will be year number 4. It's becoming one of my favorite traditions. We've been going over my sister's house for Christmas Eve night dinner, and a couple of my cousins and their families come over, and we've been doing that now for maybe 10 years or so. Since my parents were still alive, we were still doing it. But now Christmas night, my sister, my brother-in-law, and the kids come over to my house, and we just order Chinese food, and we all just hang out. And it's
Nice.
this will be like the 4th year we've done it, and I really look forward to it. And it's kind of chill. The kids can play with their toys and hang out, and the adults just kind of sit around and talk, and so that's a kind of new tradition that.
Now your daughter's 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's really kind of starting to
She's
get into what
it,
Christmas is all about, and understanding. Are you guys Santa guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
good. I mean, 49 years old, and Santa's still a big part of our Christmas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whether yeah, I know. It's just part of Christmas is Santa, the spirit of Christmas, and the spirit of giving. And
Old Saint Nick.
I love every year. It kind of seems like you find that perfect gift. And it could be a different person. Maybe I nailed it for my daughter last year and my wife this year, type thing, right? But I always like finding that perfect gift where I'm like, I nailed it this year. They're going to absolutely love what I got. And, people say it all the time, but I truly am the spirit of giving. I love finding that perfect gift for people. I do love giving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's always fun. But yeah, so your daughter's 4, really kind of getting into it. Is she cool on Santa's lap, or we still got
This is the first year she's been super cool with it.
All right.
Last year was hit or miss. We actually were on vacation again around this time of year where we went to a Santa in Florida while we were on vacation. She sat on his lap. We came back to Maryland. She wanted nothing to do with him. This year, walked right up to him, gave him her list, sat on his lap, got a great picture. She's all about it. And she's into the elf a little bit. Like it's a parenting tool. Like, hey, you got to be good. Elf's going to tell Santa. I don't know how much of that she understands. She questions everything. Like, how can he be here and there and back? And how can he hide? So she questions a lot, but
It's good. It's good that she's thinking.
it's holiday magic, It's elf magic. It's Santa magic.
Yeah.
So, but it has brought the excitement back to the holiday for me. There's a little bit of a lull in there. And now I get to look forward to it every year. You look forward to, like you said, the perfect gift, right? Giving her, it's hard to have that balance of where you want to get them everything they will put on their list, but you got to be real about it.
Yeah.
My house is only so big. You don't need 3 princess houses. You know what I mean? So
You don't.
you get her.
No, but back to tradition. Ken, growing up, you talked about the Christmas Eve at Heather's house. Well, we did that too growing up. I lived in a little town called Eunice, New Mexico, like 18 miles away. It was called a town called Hobbs, bigger town, and that's where my dad's family lived.
Okay.
And his sister Linda. Well, actually started with my mamaw's house, and then went to the sister Linda. But Christmas Eve, that was Christmas Eve. So we didn't open any of our own presents Christmas Eve. We didn't get into the stocking. What was under our tree was under our tree for Christmas Day. Wasn't none of that. You get anything now. But that being said, we would always go and spend Christmas Eve with that side of the family. And I had a bunch of cousins my age, and it was just a big party, and my mama and papa and all my aunts and uncles and cousins, and just a big, huge Christmas tradition. Riding around, I remember riding off to the neighborhood because they had money.
Right.
As far as our family goes. So they lived in the nicer end of Hobbs, and we'd always go. I remember driving through and loved going to Aunt Linda's house because we'd drive through the neighborhood and check out all the cool lights. And that was always fun. That was always part of the tradition of checking out all the lights that we went through. We would even take trips out and just go driving around checking lights out just as something to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we'd get over there, and I remember, so the different food's always good, but the one thing I can always and just kind of taste in my mouth is my mama's hot rolls. I don't know what she did with these bad boys or how she put them together and made them, but let me tell you something, man. The rolls melted like the butter did in your mouth. It was so good.
All this time later, you can still kind of
I can still taste them. I can still taste them, smell them. But that was our tradition, going there and spending Christmas Eve with that side of the family, and then going home. We would always usually go back Christmas Day too, but it'd either be to somebody else's house in Hobbs. We've since now moved on to, obviously I'm married to my wife, and her mother put on Christmas Eve. So we always went to her mother's for Christmas Eve and hang out there, and kind of do the same thing with all her aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters, and they were just huge. It's now moved over to my sister-in-law's house, but that's fun. Yeah. But you're talking about having some nice time together. Christmas Day is where we do it at my house. And the only ones that come over are my mom and my dad, maybe my brother and his girlfriend if they're around. Maybe her mom may show up every now and then. But we do that, and it's Italian food. So my wife will make stuffed shells or meatballs or spaghetti or lasagna or you name it. But so it's an Italian thing. But because it's not hustle and bustle, it's not running around. We've been doing it, like you said, by like the last 6 years now. It's just, I look forward to Christmas Day because it's not running around. Yeah, we stay home, and it's nice and chill, and we love it. It's
and like you said, it already goes by so fast. So when you're hustling and bustling, it goes by even faster.
It does. So it does.
I'm going to hit you with a question as we wrap this up today. Right. That it's a little bit lean towards our question we like to ask our guests, but I've been thinking about it a little bit while you were talking here. So, how old are you, Fred?
I am 40. I am 49 years old.
You're 49. Okay. Your youngest is 13.
My youngest is 11. Molly's 11.
Right. So, what would you tell 49-year-old Molly about Christmas that she could pass along to her children? What advice about this holiday season do you hope to pass down to her that she passes down to your grandchildren, and then it goes on and on and on? Like, would it be keep traditions alive, or just what's important about it to you? Like, what would you hope she takes away from this growing up to in 30 years she's on a podcast and she's telling about her favorite traditions with her parents? What do you hope that is?
It's a good question. I think based off of what we talked about a minute ago with Santa Claus, right, and what Santa Claus represents, not just about bringing toys to all the little boys and girls, but it's the spirit of giving and helping others and providing something that, the wants and the needs. I would kind of take that same advice, and that's what I want her to get out of it, right? That the spirit of Christmas is inside of you, spirit of giving, helping, family, friends. And it's not just about presents. It's not just about the hustle and bustle. It's about coming together as a family, with your friends, keeping that spirit alive, keeping that childlike innocence inside of you as you push that onto your own kids and your spouse, and just always embrace what the actual meaning of Christmas is.
I think that's a perfect answer. That's a great answer, man. Well, thanks for sharing, man.
Thanks for asking. Put me on a spot like that.
I know. I was thinking about it. It's great. So then we got another great episode, man. I want to thank everybody for listening in.
Absolutely.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, or whatever else you celebrate. But 100%. Merry Christmas to you, Fred.
You too, Mark. You too.
I appreciate it. And you too, Kelly, over here in the booth.
Yeah. Hey, good luck with them lights. We had a conversation earlier before we jumped on here real quick. Kelly bought a new house. Congratulations on Kelly. And he's trying to figure out how to put the lights on the house. So, my advice was a ladder, and he's on it.
All right. Well, it's great advice, too. You shouldn't try to climb up there without a ladder.
Yes.
All right. We'll talk to everybody next time.
See you, Fireline.
Welcome to the Fire Away Podcast.